Comics are for children.
There are qualities to comics that I think can never be replaced.
There's something about the form that is unlike any other medium.
To get it right is actually really tough.
An idea doesn't exist and then it exists.
And the way it can tell stories and the things it can do.
And it's more like discovery than invention.
God, the artwork here is so beautiful.
I distinctly remember falling in love with the adventures on the back page of Eagle. It's just a work of art. Every one of us will say the same thing.
Well, the ideas are so imaginative.
The history of British comics is quite an unusual one.
Do you have comics in Britain?
There was a radical time people thought they were changing the world.
All of us were slightly outsiders.
Anti-establishment counterculture.
Sex, nudity, taking the piss out of things, do whatever you wanted.
And we did.
Alan Moore stopped going to any comic conventions because people were putting things in front of him when he's having a piss in the urinal.
The comics revolution in the mid-80s was exploding.
This is actually certainly more interesting than what was going on in America.
Could hardly keep up with demand. It was outrageous.
The Freak Brothers, that comic marts, fast fiction.
I can remember queuing up in Food and Planet and talking to people in the queue going, isn't this just great? We've got our own stuff now.
Artists got treated very badly.
This is grasping, covetous behaviour. How many stories can you do in a day? Screw 'em. I'm just going to knock it out.
Watchmen watches and Watchmen t-shirts and Watchmen hats, and he was getting nothing for it. He got a bit pissed off.
Comics grew up
Sometimes, of course, they were on the top shelf.
HM Customs didn't like some of the comics.
darker and twisted and interesting.
Horror comics, ironically, were banned by a right-wing organisation in America and by the Communist Party of Great Britain here.
It was the end of the world, man.
We were kind of slightly against escapism.
Not much interest in superhero comics.
I wasn't so keen on the idea of a bloke dressing up as a bat.
The people who read 2000 AD would go on to direct movies, Edgar Wright or Duncan Jones.
We had the emergence of a few real new, original, absolute super talents.
Alan did go on not only to do an illustrated version of Lord of the Rings, but he designed the film.
After Star Wars, everything changed.
Along came Jerry Finley Day and created a girls' comic called Tammy. It was a huge seller.
Girls' comics used to outsell boys' comics 2-1.
Characters died, attacked, turned into stone, living jigsaws.
And is known as a comic revolution, and it definitely was.